Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Thursday, February 12, 2026. And I have to say, looking at the calendar, tomorrow is Friday the 13th. Usually that's just, an excuse for people to be superstitious about black cats or walking under ladders.
Right.
But looking at the notes we have for tomorrow, the spooky vibe might actually be legitimate this time. Not because of ghosts, but because the sky is effectively rearranging its furniture.
It is a massive day. We aren't just talking about a simple weekend shift here. I mean, if you're feeling a specific kind of tension like a coiled spring, it's because we are about to close a chapter that started 3 decades ago.
That's the karmic refresh concept, isn't it?
Exactly.
Tomorrow, Saturn moves into Aries. Now, to the uninitiated, that sounds like standard horoscope jargon. Planet X moves into sign Y.
Sure, it does. Why should I, or anyone listening who has a business to run or a family to manage, actually care about this specific experiment? Because Saturn is the planet of reality. It's the architect, the timekeeper, it's the adult in the room. And Aries is the baby of the zodiac, the first sign, the spark, the warrior.
Okay.
Saturn takes about, 29 to 30 years to circle the entire chart. So when it enters Aries, it's hitting the reset button on a 30-year cycle of how we structure our lives. It's the beginning of a whole new era of authority.
So this isn't just about whether I'm going to have a productive Friday.
Oh, not at all.
This is about the thematic backdrop for the next 2 years, all the way to April 2028.
Precisely. But since we do have to get through tomorrow first, we should probably look at the immediate transition.
Yeah.
The energy on February 13th itself is fascinating because it acts as a sort of microcosm of the bigger shift.
It seems like a day of two halves.
Yeah.
The morning looks deceptively competent.
It does. We have a Capricorn moon making a sextile to Mercury early in the day.
Okay, so what does that mean in plain English?
Well, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so it's grounded, and Mercury is communication. A sextile is a harmonious angle. So, Friday morning, you're sharp, the emails make sense. The strategy is clear. You can see the logic from point A to point B without any fog.
That sounds great. Get stuff done.
But then, looking at the evening charts, the moon opposes Jupiter. And usually, Jupiter is the good luck planet, right? So why is an opposition a problem?
Because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and an opposition creates tension. When you have the emotional moon facing off against expansive Jupiter, the tendency is just to lose perspective. You feel invincible. You promise the client you can deliver the project in 2 days when it really takes 2 weeks. You agree to 3 dinner parties. It's the classic, I can do it all trap.
Which is ironic because isn't the whole point of this incoming Saturn in Aries transit that we actually can't do it all? That is the exact friction point. The evening of the 13th tempts you to scatter your energy just hours before Saturn enters Aries and demands that you focus it. It's like a final test of your boundaries before the new headmaster walks in.
Let's talk about that headmaster. Saturn in Aries, we've established it's a big deal. But structurally, these two energies, they seem like they hate each other.
Yeah.
Saturn is cold, slow, heavy lead. Aries is fire, speed, impulse. It feels like driving a Ferrari with the parking brake on.
That is a very common interpretation, and it's valid. It can feel like frustration. But if you master it, it's not a parking brake, it's the steering wheel.
Okay.
Uncontrolled fire just burns the house down. Saturn gives the fire a fireplace. It directs the heat. This transit is essentially about disciplined courage.
The outline uses the term the SATURNINE shift and links it to self-mastery. But let's be real. Self-mastery is a buzzword we see on every LinkedIn influencer post. What does it actually look like in the trenches?
It looks like the death of external validation. For the last, say, 20 years, we've been in a cycle where authority was very institutional. You climb the ladder, you get the degree, you wait for the boss to say, good job. We look for permission slips. Am I allowed to launch this product? Am I allowed to pivot my career?
Right. We outsource the risk assessment to someone above us.
Exactly. Saturn in Aries says, there is no one above you. Aries is the sign of the self. The I am.
Right.
So when the planet of authority, Saturn, moves into the sign of the self, Aries, the question becomes, can you be your own father? Can you be your own boss? And not in a fun, I can take a nap whenever I want way, but in a heavy, if this fails, it is entirely my fault way.
That's terrifying.
It should be. Real authority is heavy.
This connects to that narrative illustration that was included in the briefing, the StoryScope.
Yeah.
I usually roll my eyes at sci-fi analogies,
Yeah.
but this one with General Kestrel actually lands pretty hard.
It's effective because it captures the archetypes perfectly. General Kestrel is pure Saturn. She's old, scarred. She doesn't do cosmetic surgery because she wears her experience like armor.
Right, she drinks bitter coffee.
She drinks bitter coffee. She represents the established structure.
And she's sitting in this bunker, feeling the shift. The text says she felt the undercurrent of the day. And then enters Commander Thorn. And Thorn is the classic Aries archetype, young, usually a bit stammering, maybe a bit unsure of his footing in front of the general.
Usually, yes. But on this day, the dynamic flips, and this is the key for you to understand. Thorn doesn't come in asking for orders. He comes in with a moonlit mining proposal.
Right, the mining operation on Kepler 186, which, aside from being a cool visual, is significant because of how he pitches it. He didn't ask, can we?
No. He said, I've reevaluated the allocation. We will do this. He identified a resource shortage, found a solution that was higher risk but faster, and he just presented the plan. He stopped looking for the general to tell him it was safe.
And Kestrel's reaction is the most important part. She doesn't have him court-martialed.
No.
She feels grudging admiration.
Because Saturn respects competence. It respects structure. Thorn didn't just run in screaming, let's blow things up. That would be immature Aries. He came in with a plan. That's Saturn. He took the initiative. That's Aries. He combined them. That is the winning formula for the next 2 years.
Fewer directives, more initiative. That was her final line.
It's a mandate. If you are sitting around at your job waiting to be told exactly how to navigate the next 2 years, you are going to be left behind. The energy supports the person who says, I see a problem, I'm going to fix it, and I'll deal with the consequences.
But isn't there a danger there? If everyone starts acting like a cowboy, doesn't the structure just collapse?
That's the risk. But remember, Saturn is there. Saturn demands that the initiative be viable. If Thorn's plan was stupid, Kestrel would have crushed him. The new cycle isn't about anarchy. It's about decentralized competence.
This brings up the historical context. You mentioned this is a 30-year cycle. So the last time we saw this specific Saturn and Aries setup was 1996 to 1999.
Right.
I remember the late 90s. It was the dot-com boom. It was the wild west of the internet.
Exactly. Think about the parallels. In 1996, the old guard, traditional media, retail, banking, they looked at the internet and didn't know what to do with it. Who took the lead?
The Thorns of the world.
The Thorns. Young coders, startup founders, people operating out of garages. They didn't ask for permission to build Amazon or Google. They just built it.
And a lot of them failed spectacularly.
Oh, most of them did. That's the Aries risk.
Yeah.
But the ones who applied SATURNINE discipline to that Aries spark, they became the new infrastructure. They became the new Kestrels. We are likely to see a similar explosion now, maybe in AI, maybe in synthetic biology, or decentralized finance. The barriers to entry are dropping, but the requirement for structural integrity is rising.
There is a difference this time, though. The notes mention a specific alignment with Neptune.
Yes. In the late 90s, we didn't have Neptune co-present in Aries immediately. This time, right as Saturn enters, it's aligning for a conjunction with Neptune. And Neptune is dreams, spirituality, the collective unconscious.
Which feels like the exact opposite of Saturn's cold, hard reality.
It creates a unique tension. Saturn says build walls. Neptune says dissolve walls. When they meet in Aries, the sign of the start, it suggests we aren't just building new businesses or technologies, we are trying to anchor a new level of consciousness.
Okay.
It's not just move fast and break things like the 90s, it's move with intention and heal things, or at least realize that the old structures weren't just inefficient, they were soulless.
That sounds beautiful, but practically, how do you anchor a dream? It sounds like trying to nail jelly to a wall.
You do it through what the notes call capacity building, and this is the strategic advice for anyone listening. If you have a big dream, that's Neptune, and you want to start it, that's Aries, Saturn demands you build the container for it first.
Give me a concrete example, not a metaphor.
Okay. Let's say you want to leave your corporate job to start a consultancy. The Aries impulse is, I quit, I'm free.
Right.
The Neptune dream is, I'm going to change the industry. Saturn looks at you and says, where is your P&L statement? Do you have 6 months of savings? Do you have a contract template? Do you have the discipline to work when no one is watching?
So Saturn is the buzzkill.
Saturn is the stress test. It feels like a buzzkill, yes. It feels like a delay. You want to run, but Saturn puts hurdles in front of you. But, and this is crucial, the delay is not a denial.
Okay.
The delay is physics. If you tried to channel that much voltage without the proper wiring, you'd fry the circuit. Saturn is making you upgrade the wiring.
So when we hit those roadblocks over the next few months, the permit that doesn't get approved, the funding that falls through, the skill we just can't quite master, we shouldn't see it as the universe says no.
We should see it as the universe says, you aren't strong enough to hold this yet. Go to the gym. It's about organizing around purpose rather than just reacting to frustration.
Talking about frustration, we need to address the shadow side. But you can't talk about Aries without talking about Mars and war and aggression.
Yeah.
If this goes wrong, what does it look like?
It looks ugly. Aries is the god of war. Saturn is the state. When you combine them negatively, you get the militarization of the state, or on a personal level, the militarization of the ego.
Controlling leaders.
Dictatorial leaders.
Yeah.
My way or the highway. If people feel insecure, which Saturn often triggers, they can compensate with aggression, which is Aries. We might see leaders in the workplace who become micromanagers because they're terrified of losing control. We might see a rise in global conflicts where patience runs out and preemptive strikes become the norm.
And for the individual, I imagine burnout is a huge risk here.
Burnout, but specifically burnout born of rage. You know, banging your head against the wall because things aren't moving fast enough.
Yeah.
There is a real danger of becoming brittle hard on the outside, but ready to shatter because you haven't done the internal work.
So how do we stay on the high road? The outline lists self-reliance and leaders with integrity.
The high road is becoming the sovereign individual. It's realizing that you are responsible for your emotional state, your financial state, and your output. It's the ability to delay gratification. That's the Saturn superpower. Can you work hard on something for 2 years without any applause?
That's the hard part. Everyone wants the viral moment. No one wants the 2 years of grinding in the dark.
But Saturn in Aries rewards the grind in the dark. It rewards the youthful leader, not necessarily young in age, but young in spirit, who has the maturity to wait. If you can combine that fresh Aries energy with the wisdom to play the long game, you become unstoppable.
You become the general and the commander in one person.
That's it.
That brings us back to General Kestrel. There's a line where she realizes the lad is growing up. That maturation process is the transit.
Exactly. We are all the lad right now. We are all thorn. We are standing in front of a scary, shifting future. We can stammer and wait for orders, or we can straighten our spine and say, I have a plan.
It's a call to adventure, but an adventure that requires you to pack your own supplies.
And carry your own pack.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to recenter on tomorrow, Friday the 13th, the start of the cycle. We've covered the history, the strategy, the risks. What is the one thing you want our listener to take into the weekend?
I want them to think about where they are stalling. Where are you waiting for a green light that is never going to turn green? Saturn in Aries is the realization that the light is broken, and you have to just drive through the intersection carefully but decisively.
It's about anchoring a new cycle of leadership. And the first person you have to lead is yourself.
Brick by courageous brick, as the notes say. The future isn't handed down, it's built.
So here is my challenge to you listening right now. Identify one area, just one, where you have been acting like the stammering version of Commander Thorn. Maybe it's that conversation you've been avoiding, the project you haven't started, or the boundary you haven't set. This weekend, be the version of Thorn that doesn't ask, can I, but figures out, how will I?
Chart your own course to the moonlit.
Exactly, even if it's just a metaphorical moonlit in your backyard. Thank you for diving deep with us today. It's going to be an intense 2 years, but we'll be here to break it down. Good luck with the shift.
See you on the other side.